All right, I'm ready. Let's chat it up. Let's talk about it.
Yes.
Anything uh tantalizing. Have you come across anything tantalizing to talk about over the week? Cuz I got a good one.
You have a good one?
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's go. Because my mind goes with, um, which I don't think we talked about it last time. But let's go with yours first, because mine is an oldie but a goodie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is it's an
Oh,
old
we should
topic.
introduce ourselves first, though.
Oh, do we?
Yeah. Just
Well,
as Anna and LaTrease.
yes, it's on LaTrease, y'all.
Yeah.
I guess it's a little bit more nuanced than that, I guess. Yeah. We're therapists, couples therapists, premarital educators,
Yes.
founders of A Soulful Love.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you don't know who we are, go to our first video
Yes.
so you can learn more about us and how our friendship was developed and the work that we do. And over time you'll learn. So just join us on the ride.
Stick around.
Like, subscribe, and share.
Yes.
All the good stuff. No, so this is kind of old, but it popped back up. And I didn't know, it was 2 years. This video is 2 years old, but it popped back up where there's a woman on a podcast. I don't know her name, and I'm not going to say any names anyway. But she basically said that marriage is for broke women.
What?
She said marriage is for broke women.
Can you make
And I
that
found
make
that
sense
very-
for me?
So in her mind, her explanation was around the fact that when you have your own as a woman, you have your own job, you pay your own bills, you take care of everything. If being a man is a provider and protector, right? Like having a husband is for providing and protecting, but you can do all of those things, then if you could take care and provide for yourself, then you don't need a husband. But if you need a husband, it's clear that you're broke. You don't have money.
INDEP. You know it.
I found that really interesting. I can see the perspective. I've had time to think about it. So let it mirror.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you
I had
like
a few
immediately
initial
what comes up? So
My
I'm gonna do
first-
the therapist part on you. So what comes up for you when you hear this?
Well, my first thought is, to be fair, it's an assumption, but and maybe this isn't the case, but the word embittered comes to mind. So that was number one. Number two is that's a very limiting mindset around partnership. And it makes me wonder if that's how that person views men, is that's all they're good for. What is her view of what a wife is supposed to be? So I'm just curious about that. And then, yeah, it's really who hurt you. That's the question that comes up. Like that's really all that comes up for me. Like, okay.
Yeah, I've had lots of time to think about this, and I try really hard, not just as a therapist, but just as a human being, is to kind of like not put myself in, that's not, but try to hold that reality and hold my own reality. Is there's a perspective that she has about marriage, going back to what you said about how she views partnership. There's a perspective that she has about marriage and the role of husband and wife, and this is when it becomes nuanced. I would be curious. I would love to talk to her about that and explore that. Like, what is the purpose of marriage in your lens, and what goes back to the roles of husband and wife, and what are those for you? What do and from your perspective, what purpose do they serve?
Yeah.
And then the other part goes back, because there's a part of me that, in a general sense, women do center men a lot in their like reality, which then it can make marriage the ultimate goal. And when you center men in that narrative a lot, then what happens is that you end up heartbroken. Really, you end up heartbroken. You start having less boundaries. You start moving in a way only to become married and not to be a partner in a partnership.
Yes, 100%.
Right? And so this is how women lose themselves, because they are very centered around becoming a wife, someone's wife. So then that part goes with me is, I can see how she could maybe believe that, if she believes that women maybe center, like if someone is desperate for a husband because they need this part in their life, I can see that. However, how I experience marriage and how our work experiences partnership. And I don't see partnership as just like, oh, we divide and conquer. You take this task, you take this task. But life is challenging. And we are human. We are social creatures by nature, and marriage is just one part of our village in our being social creatures. And to develop a family and someone to work through navigating that journey of family. And family could be for whatever it look like for anybody. In my lens right now, for me, would be having children. Some people is developing, not having children, maybe adopting, having pets, having just the two of them. Whatever that looks like, you're creating something together. And truthfully, honestly, finances are involved because we are in a capitalistic society.
Right. And I think of companionship, but also legacy. And so that's why I'm like, one who hurt you, because that feels like a self-protective way of thinking, especially when someone starts making overgeneralizations about a population. I'm like, what are you trying to protect? Because it's nuanced. And so to be like, well, everyone who's married was broke, all the women, but that's not me. Like, that tells me that there's something there that the ego is trying to protect. And I would be curious to know what that is. And to your point, like what this person saw even modeled for them. Like if it was women losing themselves in marriage, or like attracting a certain type of person. Because even in that, like when I think about just the examples that I had in my family, I mean, I come from a very matriarchal family. With a lot of marriages, but a lot of matriarchal influences, and so there was more to both roles than just providing and protecting, and so but I could imagine if you had a limited access to true partnership, or if she's experienced challenges trying to partner herself, that it could be easy then to come to that conclusion.
Yeah, I do think that independence, I can do this on my own. I think that hyper independence is a defense mechanism. I think that it is a protective measure, like you shared. So I do think that there's a possibility that, and that's why I would love to talk to her and explore that more, because this is her perspective and she can have that. And I'm just curious of like what shaped that, just like what we do for the Foundations for Forever. One of our questions is the family part. Like, what do your family dynamics look like what did partnership look like? What is the role of marriage and husband and wife and all those things? So then you get to explore those topics that need depth.
Yes.
Like they need to be like you need something, you need to go deep in these type of conversations because you're carrying that. And so I'm curious, yeah, and so I'm curious what dating would look like for her if she's like, oh, if I could do this on my own, I don't need you to do this, I don't need you to do that. I'm curious what dating looks like.
Right.
Because it's not just I think we talked about this, is like not just a service to like doing like this, I'm going to do this so you do this for me. It is more of we're building a service to a greater goal.
Right. There's a collective we piece.
Yeah. There's a collective we. And so if you only think about me, then partnership and that maybe that sounds best for her because she's not a we, she's a me. And maybe she doesn't know how to be a we, and so she doesn't know how to choose people that are we's.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, granted, you could also learn, because I come from a me family that's covered up in disguise that looks like a we family, but it's a lot of me. But I had to learn how to be a we, and being married and being a mom taught me how to shift that mindset like a true we, like thinking of the greater purpose of the whole entire collective.
Right.
And that's hard when you think of me. When you are constantly a me person,
it's very challenging. And it means a lot of like confronting the meanness in you, confronting the parts of you that are fine if it is just me, but once it becomes a we, it's like, dang, okay, I gotta look at that. I gotta work on this piece. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta work on this piece, when so often we're told, take me as I am.
Ooh, that's so true.
That's so hard, because it's like, well, if I have to change who I am, are you accepting me for who I am? Am I changing for who? People are afraid of that. However, there are some parts of you that are not pleasurable for others, and if you value the relationship, you probably need to shift some stuff.
Also, I think people mistake certain ways of being for parts of their personality. So it's like, that's just who I am. Like, let me think of a good example. Someone who's like, oh, I'm just not good at following through on things, like, and that's just me. No, that's a learned behavior. That's a skill set that either wasn't developed in you, or you now have the opportunity to develop within yourself. But to say that, oh, like, so, like, I'm just an inconsistent person. No, that's a skill. And I think other things too, like, oh, I'm just a cutoff queen. Or you've learned that cutting people off is a means of protecting yourself. It's a coping mechanism that's masking, a lot of times, avoidance. And so I just feel like a lot of times we'll be like, oh, like, so to that point, take me as I am. This is part of who I am. Like, I'm fiery. Look, my mom's side of the family, we're Jamaican, you know what I mean? So I'm supposed to be fiery. I'm Caribbean. But that's not always going to serve the we. I gotta put that fire out sometimes, and so like, but I think holding on to these pieces that we think are our core self, but really are just different adaptations from our historical context, from the ways we grew up, from the institutions that we've navigated, I think that gets confused, and then we get hurt, like, and take it personal because, oh, you're not accepting me as I am, where it's like, no, it's just that this behavior is causing harm to the we, or this is a skill set that you need to develop to maintain the we.
Mm-hmm. What would be then considered, oh, that's just me, right? Like, what behavior or what the core value, core character of a person where they can stand firm and say, I'm not changing that. Like, what would, from your lens, what would that be?
I'll speak even just for myself. I'm naturally shy. I just am. Now, that shyness doesn't always serve me, so I have to deal with it sometimes and choose to be outgoing. But the core of me is shy. I'm like, and that's not something that hasn't changed ever, like, that that's just, um, or let's see, I think, honestly, I think more about characteristic type things, like someone who's very kind, like, or naturally reserved, which that can kind of go on both that could be.
Yeah, because nonchalant.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to say the word. Nonchalantness.
Yeah.
Can be kind of going on the
like
reserve, like over reserved part.
Yeah.
I think that some of those characteristics can. I think it is drawing the line. Is it a self-protection or is it how you exist in the world, right?
Right.
Because I'm naturally a caring person. However, I do know part of my personality is if I believe you are upset with me, if I believe our relationship is at a like shaky, I will be over caring.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing so much of like over caring that it becomes annoying. And I'm like, no, I'm just a caring person. You should know that about me. You should accept that. But knowing not my self-awareness now, I know that when I sense, my body senses that the connection, the bond may be a little shaky, I will and that's fawning, right? I will fawn. And I have to tell myself, when I have that itch to fawn, I have to walk away. And not walk away from the person, but walk away from the space and say, LaTrease, you will not. Because what will happen is that there will become irritation for overly checking. Are you sure you're okay? Is everything all right? Are you fine? Is there anything I could get you? I'm overdoing it and it becomes annoying. And then they're upset about it. And then I'm mad at them because they're upset about me being a caring person. But really, no, I'm pushing a boundary. I'm pushing a quiet boundary that this person has, and so that they can see, like, I'm coming in. Let me in. Let me in. And they're like, girl, please. And I can't. And for me to be like, well, that's just how I am. Take that. How could you be upset about a caring person? Right. But my self-awareness knows that fawning is not who I am. It is a defense. The caring person would be like, hey, I sense you're a little off today. Are you okay? And they say, I'm fine, thank you. I leave it and take it as it is. All right, well, let me know if you need anything. The fawning person is like, hey, you sure you okay? You sure you don't need anything? You all right? Hey, I got this for you anyway. Hey, I did this for you anyway. I know you said no, but I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah. Because go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's a difference there.
Yeah.
And it takes years. It took therapy, guys, for me to get like this. It took therapy for me to realize that this was a thing.
Absolutely. And there's a difference too between you existing in yourself as the naturally caring person you are, and then it going into that almost like performance in a way, which is the fawning out of, like whether it's the fear that's driving it, but at that point you're no longer just simply existing
Mm-hmm.
in who you are. And I think that that's probably that distance in the line, because even with the shyness, which does not show up in my personal relationship, I'm not sure, but just to give it as as an example, um, me existing in my shyness is me being a little quiet, observant, but then I get out of my shell and I'll be loud and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Um, but when it switches, that's when it's kind of going into self protection avoidance to me, of like, oh, now making myself small,
Mm-hmm.
being afraid to use my voice. And so now that's no longer me just simply existing, um, as a shy yet can be outgoing person. Like, that's now entering that like performance piece of, let me just,
Yeah. And
yeah.
it's hard because it takes a lot of self awareness, and not just self awareness on, oh, I do the thing and this is why I do the thing. Self awareness, and my husband and I were talking about this. He shared his perspective of self awareness. Self awareness is also preventative. So if you're aware that you do something, that then you're preventing the consequences of the thing.
Yeah.
And I never looked at it that way. However, I do agree, like, you become so aware that you do something, you may not fully stop it from happening, but maybe when you're in the middle, you're aware, like, oh shoot, I'm doing this thing, let me stop doing
Right.
the thing. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times we confuse self-awareness of, like, yeah, I'm shy, I
Mm.
I overly care when I feel, that's just how I am. But the self-awareness is truly saying, I am aware of this behavior and how it impacts me and we.
Mm-hmm.
And that touches on emotional intelligence and relationships. And so
Yeah.
so like you said, there is a prevention, and there's also not even a prevention. I don't know what it's called when you're in the middle of it, but you can also have the ability to stop it when you're in the middle of it as well, because sometimes we're not all the way there because it's such a habit. We're not all the
Mm-hmm.
way aware that we're doing it until we can be in the middle of it, or we can be in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
because it's an exercise that you have to, like a muscle that you have to develop.
For sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, I was thinking about, as you were saying it, I'm like, no, the shyness can show up in my relationship, but then it's not shyness, it's avoidance if it's showing up
Mm.
there, for me. Because then I'm like not saying something, even though it's a safe space for me to share because of my own stuff. And so then I'm like, and so that has taken um, a lot of work, because now a coping mechanism for me was becoming conflict avoidant.
Mm.
And that doesn't work when you're trying to maintain a we. And so for me, allowing myself to show up and be seen in conflict not only has taken a lot of it's taken a lot of practice, a lot of, I think we talked about this last time, radical self honesty, seeing myself clearly, letting someone
Mm-hmm.
else also share what they see. uh, and um, like allowing myself then to release this thing that I recognize is not serving what I'm trying to build.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's so. I mean, the thing is that I am also conflict avoidant. because I think I'm horrible at arguing. Like I'm horrible at it takes me a long time for good points to come across, and I like avoid it because I'm not good at arguing. I just raise my voice, and that's not who I want to be, and that's not how I want anyone to experience me. And it's taken years for me to get to this point, but I'm also conflict avoidant in those points because it's just like, oh my goodness, I don't want this discomfort. I don't want the possibility. And so I'm sharing this because a lot of people are this way. The reason why we are conflict avoidant is because we want to preserve the bond.
Yeah.
We want the bond. There's a fear that after this, the bond is not safe.
Right.
The bond will no longer be there after this. Mm-hmm. And so we're trying our best to preserve the bond, make sure the bond stays intact. And that's hard. So radical acceptance is, if I speak truthfully, honestly, clearly, and concisely, and rationally, if the bond is not intact after this, then that's unfortunate. However, what is said needs to be said. It's very important to be said because this is going to move our relationship forward if we can address this. Mm-hmm. And that radical acceptance in that is hard and scary. However, yet you could still do it and then hope that your partner leans into the idea of resolution and radical acceptance and the desire to come through on the other end as well.
Absolutely. Especially because, and I tell my couples this, I'm like, conflict is good. It's a pathway to deeper connection. Mm-hmm. Because you're able to see, first of all, you're different human beings with a different set of things that excite you, that activate you, whatever it is. And so it's an opportunity for you to get to know each other better. Like, I didn't realize you felt that way about that thing. That's helpful to know. That links back to how you felt as a child. I didn't realize that my part in creating that condition. But that the issue becomes like how we navigate the conflict. And I think sharing that with my couples, but also like that paradigm shift for me has also been helpful personally, because conflict isn't the enemy, but I don't have to approach conflict the ways that I saw it approached, that weren't healthy or weren't going to promote connection. I can, and both parties can navigate it in a way that preserves the bond, but also strengthens it, and therefore allows you to trust it even more the next time conflict comes around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard because some people, we all have in our mind and our heart space programmed that arguing equals the end.
Right.
But the end looks so different for some people. The end might be stonewalling, emotional distance. The end might be physical distance, walking away, leaving the relationship. Or some folks, they've probably witnessed physical harm, right? Or things like that. But not many see resolution and bond building through it. Because it does, the heart space doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
And the amygdala, right? Like the amygdala part of the brain is like, girl, this is danger. It's the end of our world as we know it. Oh my God. Right? But once we get to a part, like how you help your couples and how I help my couples is saying, part of this is really looking at each other and saying, I'm not going anywhere. I want to solve this. I want us to figure this out. If both people can look at each other and just make this promise and say, I'm here to try to figure this out. I'm not trying to argue. I'm not trying to I'm here. We both need to make the commitment to figure it out. Once that happens, it's calmer. And then they're able to really say, you know what? Okay, maybe we could take a beat. Maybe we'll figure this out another day. Maybe we just need to rethink this.
Right.
But a lot of times it's that not knowing if this is the end that is what's getting everyone all worked up.
Yeah, and not slowing down in the process. And then too, like going into, because of that fear of, is this the end, going into like attacking your partner's character, or like hitting below the belt, because now you're in full self-protection mode and have lost sight of the we, and that this problem is something that you can tackle together.
Yeah, you're afraid of the end, and then you start creating the end. You start manifesting the end.
Yes. It's why am I blanking on that word?
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Thank you. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, in Stoicism, there's this belief, if you fear to suffer, you've already suffered from what you fear.
Say that one more time.
So if you fear to suffer, you already suffer from what you fear. So like you're so afraid of the thing happening, like, oh my God, the thing is happening, and you're already suffering.
Right.
And I don't know if I said it right, but I think that's around the words. But yeah, so that the thing is, you're already suffering. You're already arguing about the end. You're already protecting yourself as if they're going to end. And then the other person is arguing as if it's the end. So whatever opinion you have about what's happening, oh, they must think I am. Now you're fighting towards that. And they must think that. You're both going back and forth to defend something that has not happened. It doesn't. We control the argument.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's just really,
and even
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say, even redefining, because for me, the arguing that I saw, I'm like, oh yeah, no, but like, it doesn't even have to look like that. Like, it could look like a slightly heated discussion. It could even look like a not even heated discussion, but a difficult discussion. Like, I think, how, like, we can redefine what arguing looks like so that we argue well, or, have difficult conversations well.
Yeah. And some people confuse, even my son has done this. I mean, granted, he's 7. He thinks disagreeing. And so the sharing of, and we've talked about this before, like the sharing of different ideas, he's experienced that as, he's like, well, why are you arguing? This is not arguing. This is sharing different perspectives. And so then I think that part of this is, if you're sharing different perspectives on an issue, then is the ultimate goal to solve the issue.
Right.
Because sometimes people like to share their perspective, like this is why I did it this way. Okay, well, this is why I did it this way. Well, I don't like your way. I don't like, right? Like that whole sharing what you think. What is the intention? Is it to solve together, or is it to just change the person's mind? Is it to persuade them? I think that's the part that we have to nip out the bud. Why are you sharing this? Is it to defend yourself? Is it to inform? And when you inform them, what would you want them to do with that information?
Right, because is it you're trying to exert control to exactly what you said, to change them? Because, and I'm like, you done brought out my soapbox with the disagreement thing. Because I feel bad. I don't want to always talk poorly about social media, but I whatever. one of the things that I feel like is happening, and it's not just through social media, that's just one medium that's happening through, is this inability to hold multiple perspectives and be okay with that. Two things can be true. Shoot, five things can be true. That can be, and they can all be true. But being able to, like, something that we would do, which this was fun in my family. My dad and I loved to debate, and he would kind of he would actually set up debates. Like if we're in the car going somewhere, he'd be like, "Okay, here's the topic. I'm taking this side. I want you to take that side." And so that taught me how to disagree respectfully, because
you're going against Dad.
Look. But I think being able to hold space for that without trying to change someone, I think that right now, and the reason why I mentioned social media is I feel like I see it. It's all in the comments, which where if someone mentions something that is different from whatever the idea is that's being presented, people jump on them. How could you think that? And then making all these assumptions like, well, you must be such and such, or you're one of them, you know what I mean? And it's like, can I just have a different opinion? And I think the polarizing, things that are there that's like, oh, I'm on this side or I'm on this side, is, or we even talked about it, I don't know if you remember this with game theory, I'm a Gator. Go Gators. But I'm in community with people who are Alabama fans. And we both think our school is the best. But what am I going to do? Change them to be a Gator? There might be fans who try to do that. But no, we can just exist in community with our differences. I think even more so in partnership. And I think this goes back to what we talked about last time, which is, what is it that you really want? What is it that you're really looking for? Because if you're looking for someone who you can change, mold, and shape into this idea of a partner that you've had, that is going to be very disappointing and different from I'm actually looking for partnership. I'm looking for someone for whatever the reason why you're looking for partnership, whether it is, financially related, whether it's legacy related, whether it's companionship related, but I want to invite someone else in. That means holding space for both of you to exist, differences and all, and that, to your point, not all conflict is going to result in a resolution. It's going to just be, oh, this is where we're different. So understanding that you're coming from here and you're coming from here, how do we want to navigate that when this comes up, Yeah. Or how do we want to navigate it in a situation where we're both frustrated?
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is I definitely agree. I think that we have lost the ability to disagree or have differing perspectives and respect that, or differing opinions, as long as the opinion is not do harm to someone, and is about harm to someone or a group of people, then I think that it makes sense to do nothing but respect a differing opinion, right? And I think that it's hard because in relationship with others, you want your partner to think like you, or to have that opinion, or to completely agree with what you say. Then what that does is it doesn't leave room for individuality that makes the collective, that makes the we incredible.
No, that's a one-sided relationship.
Yeah, and so that is control. That is manipulation. Yeah. So yeah. I think we should end it here. And I just want to tell the folks, thank you for listening. If you have questions or relationship questions that you want answered or talked about, let us know in the comments and we will answer them. We'll talk about them. We will go into the nuance of these different topics. So don't forget to like, subscribe, share, talk to us.
Yes, talk to us. And you can find us now on everything. So YouTube, Spotify, what's the other? Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. You know. Instagram. We're everywhere.
We're on Instagram everywhere. So A Soulful Love. So thanks, everyone.